Okay guys, today's video is going to be a long one. So I have not done a reading wrap up since September? No, since August, I think. So I'm going to be going through all the books I read in November, October and September. I'm going to go backwards because I want to talk about the most recent ones first, but maybe I just won't even go in order. We'll see. I'm planning this video as I'm speaking to you. But basically, we're going to go through all the books I read over the last few months. Yeah, there were some really good ones. There's a lot to get through. I won't go into too much detail, but yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so I don't think we're going to go in a particular order, but the first book that I'm going to talk about, the book I just finished 2 days ago, is Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I had this on my TBR for November, if you saw my TBR jar video, so I'm so glad that I got to it, and I'm so glad that I read it. I'm not trying to be cliche saying that I loved it, like everyone else in the world loves it. Genuinely, I really enjoyed it. I think I understand why some people don't enjoy it, just because it is about addiction and, you know, it's toxic, it's not, but I think it was really good watching them go through this. You kind of have to see the bad to get to the good, in my opinion, and I really enjoyed it so much. I think I want to give it a 5 stars, but maybe it's a 4.75, but right now it's a 5, because originally I'm like, oh, well, I give it a 5, what if I prefer the other ones? But if I prefer the next few, I will just bump down this rating, we'll see. But yeah, I really enjoyed that book. I cannot wait to start Ricochet, the second book. Okay, next, so I read Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This was in my last reading vlog. I don't know which order this video is going to come up in, so I could be wrong, but this book was so fun. I really enjoyed it. It is her newest YA release, and it did everything I expected it to. She's amazing at writing YA books, and I had such a fun time. It was just a relaxing, enjoyable read. I didn't have to take too much brain power, but it was funny and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, so definitely would recommend this if you're looking for that kind of read. Super good. Then I read Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is now my favourite Ali Hazelwood book. I thought it would be kind of tied with Love Theoretically, but I think this is my favourite one. Maybe because this isn't so heavy on the kind of STEM vibe. This actually is about chess and it's a YA book. But I've heard some mixed reviews. Some people don't think it's that good. And it's not a masterpiece or anything, but I thoroughly enjoyed it a lot. And I would recommend if you were looking, again, for a really sweet, wholesome YA book. So I also read Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. This was my first book by her and I did really enjoy it. I think I gave this like a 3 stars. It was really fun. I read it in like 2 sittings. It was really sweet. And yeah, I probably will continue with the series. I'm not in a major rush or anything. But yeah, the only thing, okay, I know some people might love this, but the illustrations in this, when I was reading this like in public, where are they? Yeah, okay. Like when this, I'm sorry, I just didn't, yeah. It was quite spicy. I know, I don't know, I don't mind spice in books, but it's not like my everything, so yeah. But I did really enjoy it. It was, you know, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. Then I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. I cannot believe I waited so long to read this. This is one of my new favorite books ever. Oh, it was so good. 5 stars, amazing. This book is not for everyone. It's a literary fiction book, so a lot of people hear that genre and they run. I personally adore literary fiction. It's like my favourite. And I haven't read it as much recently. I think it takes a little more brain power to read sometimes. It's not as relaxing and sweet as romance. So that's why I adore romance too. But Cleopatra and Frankenstein, so good. So good. I understand why some people might not like it, but I adored it and it was a 5 stars for me. Next I read Pamela Anderson's book and I loved it. It was so good. I don't have the physical copy, it was on my Kindle, but wow, it was so good. I also listened to it, so hearing her narrate her own book was just beautiful. I honestly wanted more, so it wasn't a 5, it was a 4 star, but like even rating, I know there's like this thing about rating people's like life stories, and it's not the life story, it's like how it was written is what I rate, is how it was just so beautiful and like poetic. And yeah, she had a lot of like poetry elements in there, and also her love of literature was just so nice and like refreshing to read about. She had such amazing favorite authors and stuff, which I just really enjoyed. And if you are looking to read a non-fiction book, I would highly recommend hers. I also read the scripts from one of my favorite shows, that was Fleabag, the scriptures. I adore Fleabag. If any of you guys have seen it, you'll know it is so good. I'd obviously seen all the episodes before. It's 2 seasons, and the 2 seasons of scripts are in this beautiful book, and yeah, 5 stars, beautiful. I knew I'd love it already. I just really wanted to like relive the story, and I'm probably gonna reread this a lot. So if you've seen it, I would recommend if you loved it, and if you haven't seen it, I would recommend like if you had this. I was like watching it while I was reading it and it was just so much fun. Yeah. Yeah, I have no words. That was it. Following the autobiography train, I read another amazing autobiography non-fiction book, and that was The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. Again, I wish I had more, but I think her life has just been so publicized already that she needs a break, and I will take whatever I got, and this book was beautiful. I think Britney is just such a strong woman, and I enjoyed every minute of this, and yeah, it just made me want to give her a hug. Honestly, I would really recommend if you're considering reading this, or if you kind of had any like previous conceptions of her, or like, yeah, I think everyone should just read this and they'll gain a lot of respect for her if they don't already have that, because she is a really great woman, and I would highly recommend everyone give this a read. Oh, I've been checking as I've been going what books I still have to say, and oh my gosh, September feels like so long ago. Another book I read was Too Late by Colleen Hoover. Honestly, it was actually kind of enjoyable. Yeah, it wasn't like an amazing book or anything, but geez, she really just put every like potential plot line into this, and I respect that. And yeah, I guess it was kind of, I think it's meant to be like a thriller. It says it's a psychological suspense. I don't know about that. Maybe more like a dark romance element. I don't know about like psychological suspense or anything, because it just simply was not. But yeah, it was pretty good. It was actually pretty good. Take that how you will. It was pretty good. Anyway, so I also read A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I did not want to read this for the longest time, simply because I hate the name, and because I just thought it was so like childish and like cringe, okay? But I actually adored this. Like, I loved this. It was so good. Oh, but the start of it, ow, this hurt me, and I normally don't like cry and stuff with books, and I was so surprised at myself. It's not like the saddest book I've ever read, but God, that hurt. And guys, so she plays the cello, okay, and there is a song mentioned in this, and if you are reading this book and you get to the point where she's playing this certain piece of music that she adores, I think it's called a swan, I decided I have no care for my well-being, and I listened to that while I was reading that scene. Heartbroken. That made me adore this book. Like, it was just literally that scene. 5 stars. Because that, I was in my college library and I started crying. It was so busy, so silent, and I was sobbing listening to this piece of like classical music, reading this book that looks like it's for 12-year-olds. And I loved it. I loved every second of it, so I would recommend. So I also read After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Tell me why her most popular books are so mid and her backlist is... Tell me. Sorry, that's so unpopular, but Malibu Rising, it's fine. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I did like it, but I didn't, you know, it was good. It was good. Maybe I'm like being a hater because it was so loved. I don't know, but this was so good. When True Loves is my favorite book by her. I love it so much, but this was so good. Ugh. This was so good. It was actually kind of sad, but I really enjoyed it and I was really intrigued the whole time. And I read it so quick because I just really enjoyed it. It was a really like bittersweet read, but I liked that and I really enjoyed it. So I would recommend it, and I do want to finish the rest of her books because I haven't read Carrie Soto's back or anything, and I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy that one. So yeah, I have a few more of hers to read and gotta give them a try. Okay, next I read First Flight Final Fall by C.W. Farnsworth. I don't have it in front of me, so I think that's what it was. This will not be for everyone, but this is like a football soccer romance. I personally loved it because I love football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I adored this. It was so fun. It's about a female football player and she goes to this like training summer camp. They're like adults. It's like this like, they're like training to be like the best in the world, and she falls in love and it's so good. I'd highly recommend that. It's on Kindle Unlimited, that's where I read it from, and I loved it. I've not heard like a lot of people talking about it, and it was such a good sports romance. I loved it. I don't know how to describe it. No, it was great. I honestly, if you're looking for a new sports romance that you haven't heard much about, I would read it because I loved it. She's like from America and she travels, I think it was in Germany, where the camp is on, and she meets this guy and he's all grumpy, but she's grumpier. Is he grumpy? He's not really grumpy. She's grumpy. It's like reverse Grumpy Sunshine. Ate it up. Ate it up. As we know, if you have seen any of my videos, I have read Mile High by Liz Tomford, and yeah, it was fine. Why is it so long? Doesn't need to be that long. Literally, I would have loved it if it wasn't so long, but it being like that made me mad at it. So I just didn't like it by the end because it was too long. What do you have to say? I don't even know what was said in this many pages. Normally I don't even notice when a book is long, but this... However, am I being influenced heavily to read the next two? Yeah. Am I probably going to read the next two? Yeah. Right now I can't bring myself to do it because I just feel like I'm going to be in the same predicament, but they're meant to be so good. The Right Move, what's the next one called? I really want to read it. But not yet. I don't know if I can relive that again. That was in September and I'm still like reeling about how long it was. So I also read In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros, who she wrote Fourth Wing and like a load of other books. This was fine. I actually think I would have preferred it if I hadn't listened to a lot of it on audiobook. So I had it on Kindle and I listened to it because when I'm like walking to work, I like listening to a book because it's like a long walk. And it was so, the voices were so cringe. That's the only thing about some audiobooks. The voices like ruin the book. Because it was just no. Now I don't know because I didn't read all of it. I only read like bits of it and then listened to other bits. But the audiobook just brought it right down. Brought it right down. Because the guy doing the girl voice, Or was it the girl doing the guy's voice? Anyway. Ugh. Cringe. And there was like spicy scenes and I was listening to them and the narrator doing like both characters' voices. Ugh. I also unfortunately fell victim to reading 2 like novellas, Halloween novellas on Kindle Unlimited, and it came up on my TikTok and they were like, now I actually can't complain because yeah, I finished both of these. I didn't need to finish them, but I did. Yeah, traumatized. One's called 2 Scoops of Hellfire and one was called Treat, and I don't want to talk about these. One was like a demon romance. No offense, but this was literally, it was just like smosh, like that was it. No. I actually read one. I like made my boyfriend read one of them. Like I read him bits of it because I had to like share that like awkwardness with someone. If that's your thing though, I'd recommend, but I was reading one of them in public. Also, I can't blame anyone but myself. I kept reading them. I was curious. Okay, I was curious. I had to get it out of my system. I did. I certainly did. Okay, and finally I read the 2nd and the 3rd book from the Mindfuck series, and I think there's 5 of them. I read the 2nd and 3rd one. I've been making a reading dark romance video for like 3 months, so we'll ignore that. It'll be out eventually. I'm just trying to get myself to finish one of them. Traumatizing. Yeah, not the Mindfuck ones. They're really good. Let's get back on track. I really enjoyed those 2 books. They were really, really fun. I do want to finish the rest of the series. I just had other books I wanted to read when I was reading them. I keep blabbing, but anyway, I would really recommend the Mindfuck series if you've heard of it. If you haven't, it's about a serial killer and an FBI profiler, and the FBI profiler is actually trying to track the serial killer. He doesn't know he's dating her. Well, he knows he's dating her. He doesn't know who he's dating is a serial killer. You get what I mean. But yeah, really, really good. They're actually better than the first one because like it's more into the story. Loving it. And they're so easy to read. They're like just over 100 pages. So definitely recommend those. So guys, that was a lot. But we've gone through every single book that I read in September, October, November. And it is now December 2nd. So we have a lot of books to get through before the end of the year. I'm so excited. I'll probably make a separate TBR video for that, so stay tuned. And yeah, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. I had the best time as always talking to you guys, and yeah, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye.